it's Leah, and it is Tuesday night. I've thus gone to the 7th and final game that I'm going to go to on this trip. Although I'm hoping still I'll get to go to an Astros game in Houston, but this is definitely the last inside game that we're going to go to. So, yeah, I went to see the Bulls play the Knicks at United Centre. When I was planning this trip, I wasn't sure that I would go to a Bulls game, because even though it had been a dream of mine since I was really a teenager, obviously this experience is not going to be like the experience that I would have been imagining when I was, really like probably from 13 to 18, or maybe probably 20, 25 actually, in truth, but particularly in my teen years, I was obsessed with Michael Jordan, and, the idea of going to a place where you could see Michael Jordan play was like, phew. Anyway, obviously, I knew I wasn't going to see Michael Jordan play, but I just wasn't sure if I would go to a game, because I thought it's probably not going to be, you're not going to get that, there's so much weight on your expectation here that maybe you shouldn't go. Like, it's not going to be what you're expecting anyway. But anyway, I talked to someone and they're like, but you're not going to go. And I was like, nah. And they're like, you're right there and you're not going to go. This was before I left Australia. And I was like, I know, I don't know, okay? Anyway, I think I had been thinking, obviously, that there was a chance I'd go, because I looked at the games when they were playing and everything like that. So obviously I ended up going, but I went with just the idea that, just don't go in with no expectations, and just try to enjoy yourself. Anyway, so that's what I did, right? I got pretty cheap tickets. I'm sat right up the top. I'm in the 3rd tier, and in the very back row of the 3rd tier, in and behind the goals, right? So even cheaper, right? Because I'm not on the sides. But I thought it's fine. You can see from everywhere in there. When you see the pictures online, though, it looks like it's going to be much worse than when you're in there. When you're in there, the view is fine, actually, right? Like, yes, you're further away, but you obviously can see the whole court. You're not really that, you're far away, but you're not that far away, because, the seating is tiered, and, they kind of bring you forward or whatever, and it's not like it's such a huge arena that you're like, a block away. So anyway, when I got into my seat, I was actually pleasantly surprised. If we caught up last year, I went to a game at MSG and sat actually in a very similar spot. Had a very different experience with those seats though, because at MSG the roof vane comes in deep, so you can't see the Jumbotron. Half of the arena, you can't see it, and we felt like that probably contributed to our sense of not being in the experience, you know what I mean, in the atmosphere. And that's true, because this is the same thing, sat almost the identical spot, but it felt so different because it was so open. Anyway, so get there, take my seat, whatever, wait for the game to start, obviously, and just living my life like a normal human. And then the Bulls theme music starts. What's that called? Serious or something? Yeah. Anyway, I started crying, like, not like boo-hoo crying, but like crying. But there was tears in my eyes, crying. I was like, oh yeah, I guess I'm very emotionally invested in this experience after all. Anyway, so yeah, look, I'm going through some things, I think, but it was obviously it was different from what 16-year-old me expected, but it was still, I'm still very glad that I went. Anyway, so if you watch the Blackhawks video, you will know that the national anthem at that game was insane. It was like, it just escalated, like everybody singing and like robustly singing, right, in an escalating way. Now I was wondering what the vibe would be like during this national anthem. They got a little kid to do it. I think she's called the national anthem singer or something like that on YouTube, I don't know. Anyway, and people didn't really sing along at all. They clapped in a couple of bits where, or you know, cheered where she escalated her singing, but they didn't really sing along at all. Clapped at the end of it anyway. And then, you know, it was game time. So also the atmosphere where I was sitting was like pretty good too. Like people were cheering, having a good time. The arena felt a bit empty just before the game started, and then it was like when it was game time it was definitely fuller, but there was still a lot of people finding their seats in the first quarter. And when you think that it's only 48 minutes of play, if you miss the whole quarter, well, obviously you're missing a quarter of the game, but like it's not a long game, so you're missing a lot. Anyway, the Knicks took off in a very convincing way for the majority of the game. The Bulls did come back a couple of times, and that was very exciting because we were getting super hyped. I think just before half time they got the Bulls got 2 3-pointers in like within 10 seconds. Like there was only about 10 seconds to go and they got 2, but then the bloody Knicks got 1 in that same 10-second period. Yeah, obviously, like I was going for the Bulls. I wanted the Bulls to win, but it was a good game in a sense that it wasn't really until the very end when you thought, oh yeah, they're not coming back into it, because they did keep trying to come back into it. There's a couple of really good bits of play as well, like really very, very good, like very spectacular. When you would then them was standing up like, oh my god, it's so good. It's pretty different to a Nuggets game. Like the way that they announce the game and everything, that's quite different. The way that they interact with the crowd is quite different. I mean, you expect that too, right? Like you have to know your audience and what people want and what they expect and the type of interaction that they're going to be responsive to. It's going to be different in different places. But it was very good. Like the graphics on the Jumbotron were really good. I mean, obviously, again, there's a very rich, massive organisations, but you know, you can still do a bad job. Just because you got money doesn't mean you're gonna do good. The in arena promo team, they did a pretty good job. The crowd was vocal, but I didn't feel like they had to be led in being vocal a lot of the time. So obviously though, like, you know, when the opposition are, you know, going for a free throw, I nearly said a free throw, they, you know, they want you to boo them, of course. It's what they expect, or cheer and be distracting anyway. So that was pretty good. There was good music in between as well. It's not as it didn't seem like there was as much of it, but I don't know, maybe there was, maybe I just wasn't as aware of it. But Benny, the Bulls mascot, man, he gets around. That guy works. He works the whole time, and hard too. I think there's 2 Bennys actually. I think there's like the fluffy Benny and then like the air one. Because like these dinosaur costumes that are like inflatables. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know if it's the same person who does both. I didn't see them both at the same time, but that doesn't mean they're not both out at the same time. It just means I didn't see them. Yeah, and it was fan appreciation night, so they were obviously, before the game started, the players thanked the fans. And then when they did the t-shirt toss, or no, the t-shirt parachute drop, they did double the amount of t-shirts because it was fan appreciation night. And actually at one point that guy, he was like, yeah, we're doing double, and he just went like this and threw a whole bunch out at once. So obviously you're supposed to kind of stagger him so that the parachute actually has an opportunity to open and get some air and just like softly drop onto the crowd. But he didn't. He was just went out, and so some of them just were like little bullets, like just dropping down, because they were clumped together and the parachute didn't open. So it's like, look, it's only a t-shirt and they're not falling that far, but they were definitely falling with a little bit more force than intended, I think. Anyway, it was just as an aside, it was a beautiful day in Chicago today, and I walked there just really t-shirt, long sleeve t-shirt as well, and I took my jacket with me. I didn't need even to wear it on the way back, even though it was night time. It wasn't cold enough for it. It was fun. Obviously it would have been nice if the Bulls had won, but a lot of the stuff that they're doing in between the game, they had like the Incredibles, and I don't know, they had a different lot of gymnasts as well, or cheer people. I don't know the difference between them, because I don't understand dance and cheer culture, so I don't understand what's what. Anyway, whatever it is, when they pick up a person and throw them around, it's pretty impressive, right? And when they hold them up with like on one leg and they're doing their thing, it's pretty good. There was that. What else? That was the halftime entertainment. They had a spoken word person, and then they also had that that acro gymnastics dance cheer thing. That was pretty good. Benny throwing out popcorn and dancing in that section. That was pretty funny. Actually, Benny is a pretty great dancer, to be fair. Yeah, it was, like, obviously, of course, it's not going to be the same as what, I imagined, like, peak Bulls to have been like. But, dynasties don't last forever. But it was still fun. And they were they were good. They just let down in a few places over the course of the game. It was close, and they were really, probably only really to the last maybe 5 minutes or so. They were still in it. There was still a chance that they could come back and, you know, win. Or at least really just keep pushing the Knicks. Anyway, if I came back to Chicago, I would go to another game. I probably should sit in a different spot just to get a different experience. Not because of where I sat was bad, just for a different experience. Maybe sit somewhere on the side. Maybe sit in the popcorn section and get a popcorn shower. Anyway, it was very good fun. Would recommend. Alright, and I didn't get a certificate. I didn't know if the Bulls did it, and I really ran out of time to look up whether they did it or not. Also, I didn't see any like first picture thing, and I didn't get to go to the shop. I was going to go after the game, but by the time I found where the shop was, they weren't letting anybody in. So anyway, they didn't go shopping, but I'll probably go tomorrow morning because I don't have to check out until 12 and my train isn't until like 2. So I will have time tomorrow to go for a little shop if I want to. If I want to. 100% I want to. Alright, so that's it. Game 7 done. Alright, love you, miss you, bye.